Good evening, Mega Mafia. Yours truly, the professor, is here, and I have a very special guest for the MegaCast. I have a man who has made a tremendous impact on professional wrestling and especially in Mega Championship Wrestling. The Infinite Man, T.I.M, Tim. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, so thank you for having me.
I think the fans would like to know a little bit about how you became interested in professional wrestling.
Well, it started a long time ago. Actually, my grandfather. I was around 4 or 5. He sat me down in front of NWA, and we watched it every Saturday. There was one match in particular. It was William Regal versus Davey Boy Smith for the WCW Championship. Halloween Havoc. Uh, that match made me want to be a wrestler. But there was one wrestler in particular, Two Coke Scorpio. He was the man that cemented me doing this.
Now you live in North Carolina now, I know, I believe. Did were you from the Carolinas when you grew up?
Yes, sir. Manifested and created in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Uh, that definitely was a strong NWA territory. So it makes perfect sense for that. That's some of my absolute favorite wrestling is from that era of the NWA. I was, hey, don't tell Vince, but I was much more of an NWA fan than a WWF fan. Uh,
Well, Vince has got his hands tied up in other things right now.
oh, that's for sure. Uh, what is your athletic background? You bring a lot of athleticism to your matches. What is your background in athletics?
Well, I have an amateur background in wrestling. Uh, I wrestled in high school. I placed a couple times. I was ranked in second in 215 in Raleigh, well, not Raleigh, North Carolina. Then I made states twice, regionals, conference championships. I also have a gymnastic background. Was doing that since I was 8. Moved up until high school. I basically got on to the gymnastics team as a assistant coach, just to help gymnasts, and then I started doing stuff with the cheerleading coach as cheerleading coach for the team as well. And then after graduating high school, I became a gymnast instructor, one for Bull City Gymnastics in Durham, North Carolina, and School of Raleigh Gymnastics down in Raleigh, North Carolina. Uh, then I pursued professional wrestling, so I like to bring things that help me to dance, so to say.
How do you think your background in both amateur wrestling and gymnastics serve you now in your professional wrestling career?
I feel like with gymnastics, it allows me to keep my flexibility, keeps me to stay young, sort of say, and it's a good surprise. Most people, especially in my heavier days, they wouldn't assume just looking at me I have a gymnastic background until I actually do it. And then with as many talented wrestlers are out there now that can flip and can do things, not a lot of people have body control. So when most people may take 2 or 3 steps, I may just need one, basically because I have body control and I have training in that area. Then with the wrestling background, with so many styles now, everybody knows amateur wrestling. Or if they don't know it, that they get introduced to it really quickly.
Mm.
So if all else fail, I have those 2 things to fall back on. Is say I hurt an arm, I hurt a leg. I've been injured before to where I can perform in those areas to where I bring it now to the sport of professional wrestling. So I've been hurt a couple times, but I also been able to power through based on my past in wrestling and gymnastics.
Now, how did you break into the world of professional wrestling? Where were you trained?
I was trained in Raleigh, North Carolina by a wrestler named Seymour Snot. Seymour Snot was a graduate of APW, California, where he wrestled with great colleagues John Cena, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Frank Kazarian, some of the who's who in wrestling. It was funny enough because I lived here all my life and I didn't find out about pro wrestling in Raleigh until my 25th birthday. Uh, my girlfriend at the time was pushing me to do it, and she basically said, "Look, I'll make a deal. Either you do it now, or at least till 27. By 27, if you haven't started, you gotta find something else. Otherwise, you're just playing with it as a hobby." So on my 25th birthday, I researched, I did everything. To my surprise, it was wrestling in Raleigh. I would look on magazines as a kid, and I see independent wrestling, but I didn't really grasp it being a thing in North Carolina. So when I got there and I just saw that ring, I was like, I got to be in. I don't know how, but I need to be around me. And so I talked to one of the wrestlers, Jimmy Jack Funk Jr. Uh, and he talked to me and he got me to be get the guys' gears, their ring jackets, hats, and all that stuff. I take to the back. I'd be the bell ringer, anything to be around that ring and just to be in that atmosphere. So after wrestling, all the shows I would help tear down. But after tear down, well, before the tear down, Seymour helped me train. I'll take bumps here and there, and eventually I had my first match February 22nd, 2014, against Seymour Stein. And the rest of the say is history.
Now, what are some of the highlights of your career that you've experienced so far?
Well, first, I will have to say wrestling at Dorton Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, because that really wasn't for me. That was for my grandfather.
Hmm.
As a teenager, who would go to Dorton Arena all the time and watch wrestling and watch NWA. Anytime the guys would come down, he'd be outside trying to get autographs or take a picture or just to be around wrestlers. And to have my name now in the annals of history in that building is something that I can rest on knowing that I did my grandfather something. I'm proud. I say the second one was wrestling and beating Two Cold Scorpio.
Hmm.
That one was for me. I got to wrestle him back in 2017 as Timmy Luretti. But at that time, it was just more so my mind was not ready for that match. It was an out of body experience. It was a kid literally being in that ring, and I got my ass handed to me. Sorry for the person, but that's what it was. The second go around, it was a full circle moment. I wasn't scared. I wasn't timid. It was me wrestling my idol, but he wasn't an idol. He was Two Cold Scorpio, and the fact that I had to wrestle him and beat him, that was something that showed me that this is true for me. I say the third one, uh, getting to wrestle for AEW. As a kid, I would watch TV all the time, seeing guys of wrestling and watching, being in wrestling, seeing friends and seeing peers getting to be on those shows, getting to be in those opportunities. So when the universe called for me to be in that ring, not just once, but a couple times, especially in my home state of Charlotte, North Carolina, and just seeing everything unfold, it was like I was supposed to be there. And it was a good taste to see what's to be. So I say those are my top 30.
What are some of the titles that you've held in your career? I believe you're the current Gouge heavyweight champion. What are some of the other titles that you've held in the sport?
Uh, I've held the AML Prestige Championship. I've held the Gouge North Carolina Championship. I've held the Interspecies Tag Team Championship. That's a promotion out in Canada. Um, the PWX Tag Team Championship with TJ Boss, who's an amazing wrestler. Um, I've had plenty of tag team championships with my former partner, White Mike, as Gymnastic Boys. There was one period I had 5 championships at once, and that was a cool feeling. I almost felt like Ultimo Dragon. uh, but I'd probably say my longest lasting was the Couch Heavyweight Championship. I've had Amy, that's who I call her. That's my baby. I've had Amy for damn near 4 years.
Hmm.
And I'd say she's on top.
Now you mentioned earlier in your career wrestling under a different name, and I know that at some point you adopted sort of a different persona of T.I.M, the Infinite Man. Can you tell us a little bit about how that persona came about?
Not more so a persona, it was more of a reflection. With Gymnastic Boys, I felt the run was ran. I can feel like we was hitting the wall and the things we were doing were great. But our mindset, uh, things we were both going through, me personally, I can tell you right now, I wasn't going to get anything I've gotten as Timmy Lorette because of my mindset and how I presented myself, how I showed up in situations. Because I can be honest and transparent. My mind was not there. And then when the whole quarantine happened, where everyone had to just sit there, we couldn't hide, we couldn't be these performers, we couldn't wear that mask that we normally do when we wrestle. I had to sit there and contemplate and figure out why everything happened the way it was. So when I took that accountability, it was Timmy Lorette. I hid behind that name since I started. I finally got into the business. I finally got into something that people seemed to accept me, and I didn't want to go away from that. I didn't want to learn anything. I didn't want to open to anything new besides wrestling. And once I saw the damage that losing friends, losing peers' respect, seeing how people treat me during that, I felt it. So much so that on my birthday, I broke down and I cried because I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't lie, I couldn't hide, couldn't be okay with not being okay. So when all that was said and done, I just accepted that I had to leave the Gymnastic Boys. I had to leave Timmy Lee Redden. And since then, that's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. It was being on the other side of the quarantine, part of that journey to be Tim now. I'm thankful for it. Because if not, I'd still be doing reckless things, hurting people, hurting myself first and foremost, and just hurting the business. Because yeah, this owes us nothing, but it's like we finally getting to be somewhere where we can change and make it better. And I wasn't. I was just in chaos. So when all that happened said and done, I finally dropped it and took accountability. So when you see Tim, that's me. The infinite is basically ever changing, ever evolving, ever becoming something new. I don't stay the same. And that's where I feel my best work has been coming out. I'm able to pull my best work even from people. And that's all I really want to do is have that experience with people to where they feel it, that kid inside of them, like they know they're wrestling now. They know they're in something special. It's not a job. So things like that and feeling that 100% good, bad, or infinite, it's on me. I can't just say, oh, well, Timmy Redden, he does this and that. It's like, I don't know who Timothy Reddy is. It was basically a character that was to me, and I made the absolute best of it with my background in gymnastics and my background in wrestling. I put it all together, and it got a good notoriety. But I can't hide. I can't lie. I can't. And that's why I want it to be. When you see me, this is absolutely what you're getting. Even at my worst, you're still gonna get my absolute best because I know creating good, bad, sad, mad, it's inspiring somebody. So if I can make you believe again as that kid, I win.
Well, you certainly had an amazing year at Mega Championship Wrestling last year. You had matches, and again, excuse me if I don't remember all of them, but you had a match against Ashton Day. You fought Big Mo. You fought Tyreek Kalam and Bryson Teller, and you really made a huge impact at Mega Championship Wrestling. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences in Mega?
Since my first booking there, I've absolutely loved makeup. When me and Mike were brought in as Nasty Boys, uh, it was just pure fun. Just seeing the kids love wrestling, just purely love wrestling, want to be in it, be amongst it, grow, learn. It was I wanted to be there. And then when the quarantine happened and the split between me and Mike, it was hard trying to start over because I was recognized as Timmy Lou Reddy, Nasty Boy tag team wrestler. I fought very hard to get that off me. And one of the first and a few promoters and promotions was Brandon and Mega. They remembered my time there and they didn't forget, oh, he's an individual. He can come here too. So when they gave me the opportunity, I talked to Brandon and I got to listen to him pour out how he loves his kids. He absolutely loves those kids in Mega. And he would do anything for them. So when we had that conversation, he told me what his intentions are there and what his intentions are with me being there. I knew what I had to do being there. I have to elevate. While I elevate, I like to elevate others. So people may not agree with how I present things or how I give in, but evolution isn't pretty. Elevation isn't pretty, but it must be done. And you look at my matches and you look at people I've wrestled throughout the year of last year, they've changed drastically. And no, I take no credit in that. I take no credit in what I do because it's not me, it's the universe. But being able to be a part of that, for the universe to use me to help elevate individuals that I know love this business, but also know that are finding out how to love themselves. I love making.
Well, you certainly have made an impact, and we're looking forward to seeing you this Saturday night. As a matter of fact, coming up where you go against another person who's appeared on AEW television, Casey Carrington. Do you have any thoughts on that match?
Oh, Casey. I I really do. Because when Brandon told me that he wanted to wrestle me, it was very shocking, but humorous at the same time because I understand that he feels some type of way that he think I cost him his match with Ashley, but I didn't. If he can remember, way back, I was in a tag match and he was just some little kid on the outside being a little manager, twerpy, perky, and just picking on people. When I was getting beat up on the outside, he kicked me in my stomach, looked down at me, he said, "Gymnastic boys aren't going anywhere." And I was mad about it, but looking back at it now, it's very true. He didn't. To levels that we wanted to, so to speak. So Fast forward to his heavyweight championship match. He has his family there. Everyone is there. And I watched him from his promo to the match. He was playing a wrestler. He was playing like we all were. How some of us still are. We gotta talk like this. We gotta wrestle like this. He wasn't being himself. So I did what I had to do to make him realize he doesn't have to be that. And look what he's done so far. He can be mad at me all he wants, but look what I gave him. I've given him the true confidence. Because what if he won that night? He'd be the heavyweight champion. He wouldn't be himself. Now look, he's a monster. Now he's with his family, beating people up, making people bleed. He is finding himself truly. Him losing that heavyweight match was the best thing that's ever happened to him thus far. And then Saturday, I'm going to expect a thank you. And no, we're not doing any of that hardcore stuff because one, Mega didn't pay for it. You got to pay for me to bleed. And two, Casey, there's nothing you can do or hit me with that the universe has not done already. And she hits much harder. I promise you that. So we can have fun. We can wrestle. We can have a banger because that's what I bring to the table. But if I see a chair, I see a skewer, or I see your family members try to run in, you're not getting Tim. You're getting the infinite. And the infinite is ever changing. So until then, you be well, Casey.
Ominous words. I really question if he's going to give you a thank you for that, but I guess we'll see on Saturday. Do you have any advice for anyone trying to break into the business of professional wrestling?
Be intentional. There's so many ways and avenues in wrestling. It's not just in the ring. If you want to be a manager, be a manager. If you want to be a referee, be a referee. If you want to be an announcer, be the ring announcer. The best damn ring announcer you want to. It does not have to be just in the ring. But be intentional what you're doing and how you're doing it, how you're presenting yourself. And one more thing. When you get into this business, if you decide to pursue it, don't be scared. Do not be scared. You waited all your life to be in this. You've read those magazines. You played the video games. You created yourself on those video games. You are now essentially in the video game. Why are you scared? You waited so long. Don't hide your voice. Don't hide who you are. Be you, 100%. And whatever happens, just know it's for a reason. I know most people don't like hearing that. Hell, I didn't. Sometimes I still don't. But once you look back and you go through it, you understand that all of this is already set up. Life is wrestling. We all know the finish. We all know the finish of that match. So before that last move and you can't kick out, give everything you can. And I promise you, I promise you, the little kid inside you is going to thank you. Keep going and be well.
Well, thank you very much. T.I.M, the Infinite Man, this Saturday against Casey Carrington at the Mega Championship event coming up. I want to thank you so much for your time. I appreciate your insights about life and about professional wrestling. And I'm sure the Mega Mafia will appreciate it as well. Take
No
care.
problem, man. Thank you for having me. You be well.
You too.